Hi there, I'm Evelyn. I'm 35 years old and I spent the last 5 years of my life to build one of those online guru businesses. I've grown my business to over 7 million in sales, over 60,000 paying customers, with only 58 of them being high ticket, which is my mastermind clients. And I'm not sharing this to brag, but I'm sharing it because I hope that it will make you listen to and implement the mantras that I'm sharing with you in this video. These are small sentences I'm telling myself throughout the day to get myself to be more productive, more positive, more fulfilled, and more effective in my business. All right, let's jump right in. So before I read out the mantras to you, I want to share with you how this was born. When I started to get serious about my online education business in 2020, I started to use a daily self-management worksheet. So what this would look like is I would brain dump my thoughts, I would organize them in the Eisenhower matrix, and from that I would have my daily to-do list as in tasks needed to get done. But there was another part about this worksheet that I haven't talked about before, which was the affirmations that I had written down. Those sentences would help me to basically step into my identity as a now new online educator and hold myself as a owner of such a business, right? And growing into my role and growing into the stamina that was needed. And over the years, those mantras have evolved a little bit, and they have really, really helped me to get through any day, no matter how challenging. All right, so that's what we will be covering. And the first one that I want to talk about is the I can mantra. You will hear me saying throughout the day many, many times, I can do this. I can figure this out. No problem. I got this. I can make it work. I'm really cheering on myself and I'm reaffirming that I can make it work. If you've watched my video about productivity, where I also talk about the Eisenhower matrix, and then once we know what tasks we need to get done, there's the how we get them done and how we're holding ourselves when things get frustrating and really challenging. This is what I'll do. So this is where I will really hold myself and focus on tasks. I just keep pushing myself and telling myself, I can do this, I can do this, I can figure this out. This is the fourth time I'm recording this video. I had a very intense week so far with calls. We had a little family medical emergency, and it's that time of the month and my brain is toast. My video editor is waiting for content and I can do this, right? And I can figure this out. And I really love that this affirmation is just helping me to get back on track and just try one more time. Just try one more time. It's like trying to ride a bike and eventually you figure it out and it clicks. For me, it's the same with doing tasks, right? So it's the more attempts I can make on the tasks, the more likely it is for me to figure it out. Obviously, there's a point where we would wanna walk away, but we really would want to find that and where it makes sense. Now, you'll see me doing this a lot throughout the day. Towards the end of the day, I typically will shift that affirmations towards I can do this 5 minutes longer. I can do this 3 minutes longer. I can do this a minute longer. And then eventually you'll start to hear me say, can I do this a minute longer? Can I do this 2 minutes longer? Can I just do this task still before I'm done? And this sounds so harsh, right? It sounds like I'm hustling and, grinding. But what I'm really doing is I am training my mental capacity like I'm training a muscle. So I love to work out. And at the moment, I'm trying to get my pull-up count up. And so the way for me to get it up is to really make pull-ups until I can't make pull-ups anymore, really going towards that point of muscle failure. And I'm not telling myself that I'm torturing myself or, that I'm hustling here. It's like, I want to experience where my limits are. I want to get to know my potential. I want to see what I'm capable of. And the same goes with my work. I want to see what I can do. I want to experience myself. I want to grow into the most effective and productive and fulfilled version of myself. And that means that I also have to see where's the end of this capacity on any given day. Because only when I push to that point will I eventually be able to know myself like that and eventually have more, right? So I'll shift towards the end of the day, just like with the pull-up is like, can I do half more? Can I just pull up a little bit more, right? And so eventually at one point the answer is no. There's not a single minute, left. And it's like, cool, I got it. It's a playful way to do it, right? So it's not another minute. It's like, can I do this, right? So it's like adding a level of challenge, a level of gamification to take the pressure out of it as well, right? To make it more playful and to not make it so serious, right? I should be able to get this done. Oh, why can I not do more? None of that. All of I'm curious. Okay. All right. So those are the first two that I really, really love to use. Now, the other two are gratitude based. I will remind myself many times throughout the day, I get to do this. And I made it a point that whenever something comes up that potentially, I don't like, I'm like, oh, I get to do this. So, for example, tax things, right? So, I got information from our tax accountant. There's certain forms to fill out, right? And that always scares me a little bit. And when it now something like that comes in, I immediately go like, oh, I get to do this because I'm a business owner, right? Because this is working, because that's a part of it. And so I just start to kind of say, oh, I get to do this because I have a business, right? Because I can do this. Or on Monday, for example, I got a lot of video feedback requests and scale plan updates, 27 that needed to get done on a single day. And so my first reaction was, oh my God, I cannot make this. The second reaction was, I can do this. And then it's like, ooh, I get to figure out like how many can I make, right? And so let's see how efficiently I can do this. And so immediately I start to add like this layer of, oh, interesting. Let me figure it out. Let me see how much I can do. And then I also add this layer of, oh, how cool is that? So many people want my help, right? So many people value my opinion. I'm in such demands that it gets tight. Woo! Cool. That's not about positivity because I recognize, right, that I need to build like improve support systems or maybe reset expectations. I recognize my own limits, but it's also, I'm not getting into this attitude of, oh my goodness, have they lost their minds? We just had this live call. Like, why is like there's so many questions again? I'm just trying to really be appreciative. And that has been something I've been doing from the very beginning. I see colleagues of mine and sometimes members that are like, oh, those freebie seekers, those people in your DMs trying to pick your brain, whatnot. And I'm like, I've been from the first moment when I got the first lead from the ad, I was like, oh, somebody wants my freebie and is on my email list now and I can send them newsletters, right? Or somebody would be in my DMs and asking me a question about Facebook ads, right? I would be like, somebody cares about my opinion. How cool is that? And that appreciation, there's the saying, what you appreciate appreciates. Because I was always appreciative of those things, they become more, right? Because you're wanted in your life. And so instead of me saying, oh my God, this is so much with the video feedback, etc., then I'm closing it down and I'm pushing it away, right? I can be excited about it and I can think, maybe there's a better way to do this. Maybe I can also reset the expectation a little bit because it might be a little bit challenging to do so many any given day. Or maybe I should just communicate it was a lot today and I'll continue tomorrow. Appreciating it does not mean that you cannot make improvements to the situation, but it means that you can find a place of gratitude and excitement to handle the situation better. So that's what this is about. And a variation of this, the one that I use when I'm particularly overwhelmed, is to just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I even use this for private situations. Honestly, I use this for everything in life. Like no matter what is happening, I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm immediately responding to whatever comes in, right? Where my nervous system would go like, oh my goodness. I'm immediately like going just in my mind, thank you, thank you, thank you. What it allows me to do is it allows me to calm down and arrive at a place of acceptance and at that place I can see reality for what it is. And once I can accept and see reality for what it is, I can work with it, right? And that's the huge advantage of receiving with the thank you. I see a lot of people, this is not only for my students and or peers, this is actually humans, right? Fighting against reality, wanting things to be different, right? So for example, when I'm having an argument with my partner, right? When we're talking about things, I have learned that it's so much easier for me when I first go into thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't want to change him aside. I just want to arrive to a place of understanding what is happening. Then I can work with reality instead of against it, right? It's so hard to fight against something if you don't recognize it at what it is. And it's so easy to work with something once you see the true nature of it, right? And so what this thank you, thank you, thank you does for me is it relieves my anxiety response. It calms down my nervous system. I can regulate, and then I can see the reality for what it is, and then I can work with it instead of in the darkness with the brain of a 4-year-old against it. Okay. And so when you're growing your business and you're scaling so fast and so quickly, you will have a lot of situations that dysregulate you. And if you're the first like self-made multimillionaire in your family, you also don't have potentially so many people that you can consult with about those situations. You need to find a really, really, really good way to work with your nervous system so you can always get to a calm enough point where you can work with reality. And this thank you, and appreciation perspective, for me, it's the quickest way to get there. All right, so next one is it's not personal. Okay, so I love this. So humans do humaning stuff, and it's weird, and we're all different, and we all have so different backgrounds and perspectives and preferences and imprints from our past that shape our perception and our preferences. It's very, very hard to work with so many humans. So I have thousands of paying members, and I have worked with thousands of customers, over 60,000 over the years. There's a lot of humaning going on. Because it's between us humans, it can feel really personal, but it is not personal. And that's one of the biggest one for me, is like when something comes up with a customer or with a member, even when it was early days, when the communities were super, super knit tight, and then like a member would leave or something, or, you know, I know a lot of my members like personally by the name and all their stories and all their offers, and sometimes family names, right? And sometimes when you see somebody like that, where you were like, oh, wow, we had a really close connection, I helped them like a lot, they say that changed their life. And then you see them leaving, it's like, did I do something wrong? What's happening? It's not personal. Done, dusted. It's not personal. Nothing is personal. It's business, okay? And it's not personal. And don't ever make it about it. And I find that this mantra works so quickly because you can let go of it so quickly. It's not personal, right? Something happens, it's not personal. That's this, and this has to be the end of it, because it's not personal, right? It has nothing to do with you as a human. It's not personal. Don't let it get to the core of your being. Don't let anything that happens in business make you doubt your intrinsic worth or worthiness. It's not that personal, I can guarantee you. Okay, so one of the biggest ones, one of the biggest energy sucks, if you don't know how to use it, always remind yourself, it's not personal. And that's the end of it. One that I also love to use is, this is temporary, right? Because it is. And it's with the good things as well as with the bad things, right? When you have something really good happening, you can fly high and you can think, oh, now I made it out on the other end and whatnot. It's like, it's not temporary. That means, because it's not temporary, I get to show up tomorrow again, right? But also when something negative is happening, this is not temporary, right? And this is where my next sentence comes in. That's, I can try again. When something something happens, right, where I have a preference that it should go in the other direction, I always can remind myself, this too is not temporary, and I can try again. And I can try again, I think, is so cool, because you can always try again, right? If the launch flopped, if that email didn't resonate, if those clients didn't buy it, you didn't make your numbers goal this month, you can always try again. And I mean, there's many entrepreneurs who've lost a whole business, right? And they could try again. So you can always try again. And so this is something that I love to say to myself, this is temporary and I can try again. Last but not least, this is one of my favorites that you'll hear me say a lot, is, how can I make this work for me? I have developed this habit of turning my shit into gold. I'm sorry for my language. But for example, when something is happening for me in the business, I will make it work for me by learning from it and then telling the story of this learning. I think Alex Ramosi says this, either I win or I learn, so it always happened for me. I take it a step further and I productize the learning. One example of that I actually personally really, really admire is Anik Singhal. He got sued by the FTC for his marketing and lost, and basically got a little bit of a reset in his business from that. And that's when he decided to start a compliance academy, where he now teaches other entrepreneurs how to do compliant marketing. And they even developed a software which is Complyly. And while they say, it's not positive yet, I think it will eventually be very, very positive. And that's just such a beautiful example for me of resilience and making a mistake and then eventually making it work for you. And I've had this many times in my business, where I once had a shitstorm where somebody didn't understand what ad swipe files are, and they started in the Marketers Hearts Facebook group a big discussion about it, and my phone was like ringing and I got publicly stoned, and I was like, oh my goodness. And again, I was calming down, and then I was writing a thoughtful response, and I actually got members from that. And ever since then, this is a story I keep telling, and that keeps connecting me with people, right? So I'm so much richer because of that experience. Or for example, One time my son had lice from kindergarten. He brought them home. I didn't know that. And I was telling my husband, before he had to go back to Canada, I was like, I need to switch my shampoo because my scalp is itching. I didn't connect the dots. And shortly after he left, I saw on the next morning in the kindergarten the sign, oh, check your children. I was like, washed everything, cleaned everything, did everything, but also processed that in an email that I titled Scratch My Head. And I basically kind of draw the parallel between treating a symptom, but not understanding the root cause of the symptom, and how we often do that in business. I tried to buy an expensive scalp nurturing shampoo when actually all I needed to do is wash my stuff and get rid of those lice. And it actually got me applications for the mastermind. And so there's always some gold that we can find in any experience. And if we're open to it, if we don't close for it, and if we don't fight it, we can actually work with it and make it work for us ultimately in the end. All right, so those are my mantras for you. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye for now.